Hi, everyone. I'm Charlotte Erdy from Sky Talkers. It's so great to talk with you all today. Thanks so much for taking the time. I love the show, so I'm really thrilled to talk with you all today.
Thanks,
Um,
Charlotte.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
So, my first question is about the writing process. So, what is the writing process on a show like Young Jedi Adventures, and how do you decide what scenarios that the kids get involved in?
Mike.
That is a heady question right there. Yeah. You know, first off, we're trying. We're making a Star Wars show, so we want to make sure that we honor the heightened storytelling, the swashbuckling nature of Star Wars, but also make sure that we convey certain lessons and themes that feel authentic to this age group. And so we kind of start from uh, our own experiences. The writer's room, we typically talk about sort of the lessons or challenges that we faced as young kids and look for ways to kind of turn those into big, epic, crazy, swashbuckling stories with spaceships and space pirates. And so it really starts from our own experiences and those lessons and themes, and then kind of grows from there.
To piggyback on what Michael said, it's literally the uh do you remember when you were afraid? You're trying to teach people how to overcome fear, like feeling what it feels like to not fit in and finding like your place with your friends. It's just all the lessons that we want to teach and like impart on these kids, but you build the fun stories out of them. It's kind of like when you pick an outfit. Some people pick their shoes and build the outfit around their shoes. I may be one of those people. So you pick the lesson and you build the story around the particular lesson you want to tell, which makes it fun. It's like once you find out this episode is about sharing, then you just build the episode around that.
And from
Totally.
Lucasfilm, that's what we're looking for. I mean, it always comes down to the character story. The ones that I think we have dialogue about are the ones that are like, well, what cool world building thing do we want to do? That we really want to focus on the human story with these, and
Definitely.
done a masterful job for the demo.
Yeah. What were some of your inspirations for the series?
Well, visually, we were inspired by this artist named Joey Chu, who has this incredible, almost like storybook, like paper cutout, vibrant color look, and we just really wanted to do create a show that had a special and unique look that would appeal to young kids. And his artwork really was a key inspiration for us. Um, so I would say visually that was something that was important. James, is there anything you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I think we sort of found this show together through development when it came to like what was the right show. I mean, Michael had a great take. With really, I mean, a lot of these characters are very, very much where this started. But I think like finding how do you translate it to Star Wars and keep the 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 purity of Star Wars, what Star Wars feels like, looks like, um, what are those values that need to be inherent? What's the adventure like? In the world building commitment. I think all of those things had to kind of evolve. And I think like this show could have been we knew from the start that it had to still hold and fit within the broader Star Wars storytelling in a way that this is happening in the High Republic somewhere in the High Republic, and people who are fans of that needed to feel that. So I think we had to figure it out together. I don't know if there was any analog, this is sort of
No,
building from the ground up on this one.
it is a lot of work, a lot of love, and a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Like, but definitely a lot of love for Star Wars, a lot of love for the era, a lot of love for basically for me, it's making miniature versions of Luke, Leia, Han. Just like when I was a kid watching Star Wars for the first time. When I first saw it, I was like 7 or 8, and I would have loved to have had a Nubs a Liz and Kai, and just to be able to identify, to be able to walk me into this Star Wars world, and for us to be able to give that to this generation of kids, best thing ever.
Well, and that's it. The bold challenge here was this could be a whole generation's first introduction to this galaxy we love so much. This galaxy that means so much to so many people. And this had to be a worthy first step that if you go down the path and you continue to fall in love with the depths of all the Star Wars universe, that this feels right at home and was the right first step for you.
Yeah, I'll add to that too. You know, George Lucas talked a lot about in the movies that there were motifs and themes that sort of got echoed, not necessarily repeated. And so it was really important to me that we honored that spirit as best we could with this audience to find both visually what those themes and motifs are, but also almost like spiritually the kinds of stories we're telling, the mythic storytelling and those elements, and also the kinds of characters, the archetypes that he played with, and made sure that this show kind of honored those motifs so that when kids watch this show and then graduate to the next iteration of Star Wars, it feels familiar and different as they move on. And so that was really, really important to me as well.
I love that. I think that it's so important for Star Wars to feel reflective in a lot of ways, but also new. So I think that that's so great. And what a great introduction for kids to have in this show. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about the challenges and exciting bits of deciding to set this show during the High Republic era. A lot of our listeners love that era. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that.
It's a wonderful era. I think more and more, one of the things we love about this era, but it's also a challenge of this era, is we're really building it together with these creators, multiple different creators and multiple different mediums at the same time. And so, you know, we have a very clear vision of what the High Republic as an era means, the world building sort of fundamental elements, you know, in place. We have an amazing Bible from Pablo Fontalio, as you'd imagine. But it's an era that's so undefined that the excitement of working in it is that there's a lot of unanswered questions, even for us at Lucasfilm. And I think we want it that way because what we want to be able to do is be able to work with really incredible creators and writers and artists and directors and game designers to help shape it with us. And, you know, that's, I feel that that's our role as stewards of this at Lucasfilm, is to help make sure that it is right. These are the right choices. It fits together. It holds together. But what we don't want to do is define it all completely, because there's so much potential there, and so many incredible partners that can really help us to shape this thing. So all to say, there's so much magic in that. But there's also a lot of moments, and I'm sure both Michael and Lamont can speak to it, of, hey, what does this thing look like? Or what's going on with this during this era? Or what do we have, you know, as reference for this? And, you know, there are a lot of times, unlike so many of our other eras, where it's, that's a good question. I don't know. We haven't been asked the question before. We haven't defined it. We have to figure this out together. And you have to think through all the other implications. But it's something we're sort of excavating together, and it's wonderful that way. But you know, all of it is to serve good storytelling and good character work, which these guys do so well.
Yeah, the challenges and gifts of working in the High Republic, like James said, I think the challenges are we are all kind of creating this together, and so there's a lot of questions, but that also provides, on the flip side, the yin and yang of it is that we get to make up a lot of things that will kind of carry on forward. And so that's been such an incredible experience to have that. Additionally, you know, the High Republic, as you know, at least in this phase that we're in, is the Jedi are at their height. It's a time of optimism, of hope. The people of the galaxy welcome the Jedi with open arms. and they look up to them. And that's exactly the kind of feeling and the kind of approach I felt as a kid looking up to Luke Skywalker. And I feel like this is a perfect era for our show because we can set it and have our kids be aspirational in the show, and kids at home can kind of look up to them and know that this is a fun, swashbuckling, adventurous, optimistic, passionate time. So it's been a lot of fun.
To piggyback on that, it's been amazingly fun, and to be able to bridge little gaps in the High Republic here and there, working with all these people, being able to maybe throw some stuff in that becomes canon, and now forever you've touched Star Wars. Like, it's an amazing gift. But the thing I really love about this era, as these two gentlemen said, it's such a hopeful, bright, shiny, optimistic era of, just learning about yourself and working together and just learning how to be like just good people, like through the lens of like James said, everyone likes the Jedi. So you can go anywhere, you can go on these adventures, you can see these different worlds, and to have these kids experience this stuff and kind of learn on the fly. And like, to me, that is super fun because these kids are going to be watching this and realizing, I want to go on adventures. Like, they aren't scared. I'm not going to be scared either. Like, they were afraid of the dark, but they figured out how. This is not a story. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe not. But they're afraid of the dark, but they figured out how to not be afraid of the dark with their friends. It's an amazing gift. This show in general.
Yeah, I love it. Just one more question, because I know we're a little close on time, but I have to ask about Nubs. So everyone's so obsessed with Nubs, including myself. Did you know that Nubs was going to take hold of the internet like this? That we were all going to be so obsessed with Nubs?
Oh man, I'm so delighted with the response. It was certainly a big swing for us, actually, and for me. And he was a character that I knew I wanted in this show from day one, and I was very nervous to pitch the idea of a new species to Lucasfilm. But I'm so glad that people resonated with him. He is, the heart of our show, and meaning like he's the character that conveys a lot of the emotions, the ups and downs that maybe our younger part of our audience might have if they were on these adventures. And so he's such a delight to write for too, even though he doesn't speak basic. And then to see D. Bradley Baker's performance just make him come to life in a way that I could have never even imagined, or better than I could have imagined, has been a true gift. It's been a lot of fun.
I cannot wait for Halloween.
Yes.
It is one of my most favorite thoughts when we were breaking this, and we had an inkling that Nubs, like Michael nailed it, but we had an inkling that Nubs was gonna be liked. But Nubs is beloved. Like, Nubs probably has his own fan pages right now.
Nubs Nation.
Nubs Nation, baby.
So, but to me, it's like to see kids like get these costumes and walk around during Halloween, or like whatever events. I'm not going to name the events people can go to and dress up, but those events, like, just see these little kids and their parents dress like Obi-Wan. Again, I can't. It's the dream come true. Like, lifelong Star Wars fan, like Michael and James.
Yeah, it's very special. I don't know if I have time for one more question, maybe, but one thing that we ask on our show to everyone we possibly can is the Star Wars dinner question. If you could bring one Star Wars character or creator to dinner and the object is good conversation, who would you bring? Maybe we could rapid fire do this really fast.
Well, clearly it has to be Nubs.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, great conversation and a big appetite. So
Yes.
Lando. I bet he mixes a great drink.
Oh, you stole my Lando, man.
Ah, sorry.
Because I'm like, sit down. You know he had stories for years,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll beat you in poker.
Yeah.
And some of them are true and some of them aren't.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he's just lulling you into a false sense of security so he can steal your ship.
Yeah.
Like, it's great, but you'll leave with a story.
You know you're in for a good time with Lando.
Stole my ship. Amazing.
I love it. Well, thank you all so much for talking with me today. I can't wait for everyone to hear this and for everyone to watch the show. It's so great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So
It's
much.
great talking with you.